Welcome to Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi, Ekekwe. We'll be speaking today on 5 ways to raise capital. I'll be focusing largely to African entrepreneurs, specifically Nigerian entrepreneurs. Capital unlocks breakthroughs. Capital is the engine that transforms invention into innovation. Because innovation is the commercialization of invention. And without capital, it's really very difficult to have that transition. Before about 500 years ago, we had a world where people had a lot of inventive societies across different parts of the world. Then over time, we started having a construct of property rights where people can now own assets. And with that, property rights enabled people to start taking risk on ideas, on inventions. And with that, capital now started being put into different endeavors. Today, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to take his assets or his whole life savings into something if there is no element that there is going to be a reward. Capital makes that possible, and the world has built processes and systems, including that IPR, intellectual rights, to make that happen. So for you to actually have that ability to raise that capital, you have to do many things right. You need to have a vision, you need to have an idea, and that idea must be exciting. People say you need to have a traction. You have to have tested hypotheses at different levels for different people, depending on where, when they want to come into the investment cycle. Some people can just tell them about the idea. Maybe family and friends, they'll be excited to give you money. But for some people, they would like to see revenue. Some may ask you to give them business plan, BP. And just like that, there's so many elements to that. So these are the preamble that you have to understand as you move into that process of raising capital. Identify 5 ways here. The first is crowdfunding, which is basically a democratized process of raising capital. To raise loan, raise through investment, through equity, product, prepaid product, reward. Peer-to-peer, Kickstarter, Digger. These are elements that people can raise capital. In Germany today, there are so many rules, laws, regulations that people can even just put them on the internet. People invest to equity. It's estimated that by 2025, about $300 billion will be raised in this type of fundraising. Another one is angels, so families and friends. Hey, you have a rich uncle. He can write you a check, start a company, because he likes the idea. So we have the Lagos Angel Network. Sorry, just misspelled that. They're always coming in at the early stage of most of these companies. You've not really demonstrated a lot of traction, a lot of validation of hypothesis. But they don't care. Just write a check and now enable you to go and execute that mission. Then we have, after these angel networks, you now have venture capitalists. You have EcoVC. You have social capital. And there's so many of them. Most times, they have different different focus areas. Some are focusing on biotechnology. Some are focusing on ICT. Some are focusing on music. And so media. So just like that, they have different levels of classifications. And also, some also focusing on different stages of this company. Some are early stage, just when the company just started up. Some are also focusing on growth phase, when the company has demonstrated that it has actually validated the hypothesis of this business. And now it wants capital in order to scale from one market to the other. And these entities are always looking at high growth firms today. Artificial intelligence, platform-based businesses, data businesses are some of the most exciting areas they are putting capital. In Africa, we have seen fintech, we have seen agricultural business and agri-tech business. We also see media, where companies are raising capital, startups are raising capital in these specific areas. They now tap into these venture capitalists who write the checks. Now, there is also this new one called the ICO, the initial coin offering, where a company can issue tokens in order to get in exchange for cash from investors. Those investors will now own those tokens, which they can basically trade in exchanges. Maybe you can sell a token of company A for Bitcoin. It is a very hard thing, and it also has its own challenges in terms of fraud. It's new. It's basically, in some cases, a security. And it's largely non-dilutive. You're not really selling the equity of your company. So, and technically, it's also a type of crowdfunding because most times you are trying to democratize that process by selling that tokens to as many people as possible. And anyone that has the money writes the check, gets the token. There is a company called Filecoin. It raised $257 million, and EOS over a year-long ICOs has raised nearly $4 billion. So this process has been validated. And if you have a great plan, a great vision, and a very solid network, hey, you can try it. But remember, there are a lot of oppositions because a lot of people still believe that most of these things are not necessarily legitimate. But it all depends on the domain where you live. But in America, some people have actually demonstrated that this is a path to raise capital. In Nigeria, it may still be at the level of infancy. But nevertheless, a lot of people are trying. Okay, you have then the big one, which is the Vision Fund and Sovereign Wealth Fund. These entities are not necessarily focused on startups, but whenever they have interest, they're making deals tens of hundreds of millions of dollars. The Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia teamed up with SoftBank, the Japanese investment fund, to set up $100 billion fund specifically targeting mainly technology companies. So the SoftBank has a vision fund, and other companies, other institutions also join hands, generating that kind of war chest, for them to buy, invest in great companies of the future. Nigeria has a sovereign wealth fund, but I'm not necessarily aware whether it's invested in companies. I think it does mainly heavy infrastructure projects and also in the area of mortgage. But that is what it takes. There are so many ways you can do this. The easiest way for raising capital is actually to show that your business has a promise. And the best investors I have not actually put here, basically the best investor is the customer. Because if you can build something that the customers will like, certainly you've got an investor. But of course, most times you need to have somebody that will give you money before you can actually get that product to the market, where the customer will begin to invest in you. You're listening to Tekedia there.